Okay, should I put my bonnet back
Mm-hmm. Yes, we can.
I'm not even far enough. I'm not even far enough.
Blessings, blessings, blessings. Thank you all for coming on so quickly. Hey, Ma. Blessings, blessings, blessings. Tell somebody else to come on in. Come on in. Let's see what we got to say about this word abandonment today. I'm excited to hear my bestie go forth. Tell somebody we're talking about the emotion. Hey, Shay. Talking about abandonment. Oh, my goodness. A word that can go across many venues in life, many things. I'm telling you, abandonment is not a one-shot deal. It could be seen in various aspects of your life. When I say venues, various aspects of your life, I'm telling you. And perhaps you would like to come on and be a guest and talk to our viewers. You're more than welcome. So all you have to do is inbox me. We're going to give time for a few more to come on. Tell somebody. Hit them up. Invite them to come on and join the conversation tonight. We'd be glad to hear what you have to say.
Hey, hey, everybody.
Come on in. Come on in. This is a word we want everybody to join in with the discussion. We don't want to have to repeat a lot. We want to be able to keep it moving in case some other people come on that haven't been on before and so they can follow the conversation. Tell somebody to come on. Why she leave her cane? Hey, Sister Tori, you on the wrong page. Oh, there you are. You on the other one. Hey, Sister Tori, we have not been feeling our best, and my bestie has been doing what she does best with trying to help us get better. And sorry we missed you on last week, but we are here today. We never want to go too long without talking with you guys. While we're waiting for others to come on, how about you tell us what you think abandonment is? Because we say all the time, one person's perception is another person's reality. So before we start talking about what the dictionary says and what this one says, why don't you tell us what you think abandonment is? Because Many of us have experienced it in one way or another in our lifespan thus far. So, what did abandonment look like to you? Tell us what you feel it is. There's no right or wrong when you're telling what you think it is. So, let's talk about what you feel abandonment is because it's a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a real thing. I'm gonna get my shoes up. Nobody wants to tell us what abandonment is. There's no right or wrong answer when you're talking about your definition of abandonment or your perception. What type of realistic avenue you've been through. Hey, Tika.
Hey.
What does abandonment look like in your life? Could be today, could be yesterday, could be last year, could have been 10 years ago. Believe it or not, feeling unwanted and alone, Shanae says. That's very good. Many people have experienced abandonment in their course of living, and they were not able to discuss it or they were not able to verbalize it. Um, they did not feel that they would be heard. It feels like rejection. That's it, y'all. Keep on coming in. Keep on coming in. We're talking about abandonment and asking you, what do you feel abandonment is before we come on and start talking about what we think or what we know or what we've experienced. You've experienced it too. You'd be surprised at how you can help somebody else. Some people really believe that you just don't understand where you ain't no sense in telling you. That's what they say. You ain't gonna understand. Well, you don't know because you ain't tell nobody
You
yet.
ain't tell me.
You didn't tell anybody yet. And believe it or not, when you say something, then somebody says, "Oh man, I experienced that too. I just didn't call it abandonment." That's why we say everybody
You
has
guys
their
are going to be
home.
very amazed to know what abandonment is. Some of these answers are good because that's what we feel abandonment is, but it's way deeper than rejection and being dropped and being left. It's way deeper than that. That is some of the surface things that
Y'all are
we
answering. I
face.
love it though. Being dropped with no explanation. Mephibosheth, come forth. Still ended up eating at the king's table. When you get left. So basically, everybody feels like you either been unwanted or left alone. Left alone could mean the same as feeling like you're being dropped, because if you're being dropped, that's the main thing that comes to mind, being left. So I'm excited to hear what you're going to say to them about this good old word called abandonment. Don't stop talking, you guys. Uh, Let somebody else know that we have a no condemnation zone on the word, on the emotion, on the cause called abandonment. It is such a real place.
Yes, it is.
Oh my, such a real place. I've been there lately along with so many other emotions. And Shanae, I'd have to say um, that that's not a new place. Um, Many have found themselves right there where you are, feeling one thing, but having so many others and not knowing how to deal with them. The first thing you can do is deal with them one at a time. Trying to deal with all of them at one time is overwhelming, even in of itself, because each one is going to cause a different type of reaction or response from you as you begin to get healed from them one by one. So it is our prayer that God would quickly, come to the rescue with you so that you would be free in your mind, for one, because it's going to require your mind. And so we are asking that God would move quickly and free your mind so that you're able to uh, deal with these things one at a time. Trying to deal with them all at once, again, I will say, is overwhelming and putting more pressure on you than need be. One at a time, take the time, because you matter. All right, so between the two pages, you're down. You have 5 people right now.
So let's define abandonment. Okay, let's define abandonment. Abandonment issues is a type of anxiety that can cause people to fear losing loved ones, ending relationships, feeling left. They can stem from a fear of loneliness. Abandonment issues can manifest differently for different people depending on your situation. Abandonment can stem from childhood up until now. Let's first understand and realize that everything we go through in our life stems from when we were younger. And it follows us into our teenage years, and then it follows us into our adulthood. But I will say this before we get into this. In order to be helped, you have to first, I'll say it on every live, admit that I have a problem. Some people are afraid to say that I feel this because I don't really know what it is. But it is a very deep, dark place. Um, you suffer emotional symptoms. So let's talk about some of these emotional symptoms: feeling of worthlessness, insecurity, or anxiety in relationship, heightened sensitivity to criticism, mood swings, and emotional and instability.
Instability.
That word, instability. So I'm going to say it again: feeling of worthlessness, insecurity or anxiety in relationships, hiding sensitivity to criticism, mood swings, and emotional pain, and say that word again,
Instability.
instability. That is when you have when you suffer from those are emotional symptoms. So how do I know that I have abandonment
To feel
issues?
overstood the
One
most.
of those, how do I know I have abandonment issues? That is the first one. Tanasia, if you can write, you usually write for me, or Apostle. I suffer from emotional symptoms. All right. That's the first one. Emotional symptoms: feeling of worthlessness, insecure, or anxiety. So, you ever know somebody that has a high level of anxiety? There's something inside of them that they have not yet dealt with. That abandonment, that empty place that's inside of them. Okay, so the first one was emotional symptoms. The second one is behavioral symptoms: clinginess. You always want to be with someone, or you always want to be up under that person, or you always feel like you can't never get enough. And if they leave you, you are afraid that they may never come back. That is a part of an abandonment issue. I didn't even know that. But as I was studying, I found it out. You know, when you study these different emotions, some of them you find yourself in, and you be like, wow, I did not know that's what that was. I felt it, I had it, but I could never identify with what the feeling was. Okay. Um, manipulative behavior. Manipulative behavior.
Manipulative.
Yep, that word. Always trying to manipulate somebody
There
or
you
make
go.
somebody um what would be another way to say manipulative?
Persuade.
Persuade, yes. Blessings. Engaging in self-destructive behavior, wanting to control others and sabotaging relationships, wanting to control others. Like, you don't feel like you got the uppity up unless you in control, or unless you in command, or it's not gonna go right if I ain't in charge of this. Let's see how far you get without you being here. I was, what do you mean? So that is another form of, okay. Let's talk about triggers. All right. So behavioral symptoms. Our next one is triggers. If someone is late, someone with abandonment issues might fear the worst and begin to think, he was supposed to call me at 2 o'clock. He didn't call me at the same time. So we've been talking for a week. This is the example or the analogy that I have. We've been talking for a week. for a week straight, the same time every day. On the seventh day, he didn't call me at 2 o'clock. That's triggers is very important. He didn't call me at 2 o'clock. So because I have abandonment issues, now I'm like, oh my God, he might not never talk to me again. Did I say something that made him or her feel that way? Why they not talking to me? Why they not texting me? And then we start sending these crazy texts, and then the person will respond with, I was asleep, or I was on lunch break, or I was doing something. I wasn't ignoring you. It wasn't that I didn't want to be bothered, but because you had that trigger of being dropped or always feeling like somebody is going to leave you, when you get that one good thing, you mess it up because of the triggers. That thing was deep to me because of the triggers. Or let's take like having a best friend, for instance. When I first met my bestie, some of us can't stick with the same best friend because we have those triggers. Before I met Apostle, no exaggeration, I had like 9 best friends. And I didn't understand until I met her what a best friend was. But because I was empty, I was trying to fill that void. Everybody I met was my best friend because I just had to have somebody close to me. That's a trigger, and that's something that we need to seek help with. All right. Abandonment issues can be caused by a number of factors, including the number one case, childhood trauma. Childhood trauma, brain chemistry. All right. Therapy is good. Therapy is good. They suggest if you suffer from this type of behavior that therapy is good. Let's see. Because the person is not healed from past emotional traumas. Absolutely, Overseer the Boast. That is one of the number one causes of why we don't have effective relationships, effective friendships. Watch this. It even spills over into our ministry. And we church hop more than a little bit because criticism, once the pastor say something to you and you don't like it because you're dealing with that feeling of abandonment, you think now the leader is trying to come for you, and you pack up your bags and you leave because you don't take corrective criticism good. That is a part of an abandonment issue. Not everybody is trying to come for you. Some of us really want what's best for you, but because nobody can tell you nothing, because you have that empty void there, you always think somebody's coming for you. So now I don't know whether I should say something. I don't know whether I should speak. I don't know whether I'm supposed to correct you because everything, you're so sensitive, it gets on your nerves. That is a part of abandonment issues, okay? Abandonment issue is an informal term described as a strong fear of losing someone, someone leaving you, a fear of results, and it causes a lot of mental issues. It causes a lot of mental issues. Yes, that wall of defense. You always think that somebody is coming for you when all we're trying to do is help you. Or the newest thing they say now is, well, it was because you said it to me and you didn't say it to Brother Bobby. Well, I can't talk to Brother Bobby like I do you. So I have to know what's in my comfort zone or my circle because I might not can't chastise. Let's just use my armor bearer the same way that I could chastise my daughter because they are not the same. So you have to know what's in your circle and how you can chastise. But yes, that wall of defense is one of the number one things that it talks about while we are dealing with abandonment issues. But it comes from childhood trauma. I can use my personal life for example. I was in foster care most of my life. When my mother had me, she was on drugs. She got pregnant with me. She was on drugs. And when I was born a drug baby. So therefore, I had to stay in the hospital. My mother couldn't take me home. My foster mother came and she picked me up. And I stayed with her for a while. I was just talking to my daughter and them about this the other night. I used to would have to go and visit my mom at Tri City. You know Tri City in Newark. So the diapers worker would come and pick us up, and she would take us to Tri City, and I would have to go and visit my mom in Newark. And I just felt so like, why are we here? Like, why am I, you left me in the hospital. So why should I be made to come and to sit with you or to talk with you or get to know you? That's a part of abandonment issue because she left me. First of all, you knew you was pregnant with me. You shouldn't have been doing drugs anyway. So it caused me to have a lot of learning disabilities and issues. I'm being real transparent because I want to help somebody else. If I heal from it, you can too. But you have to get you an accountability partner. Apostle Armor was my accountability partner. So when I started feeling down, when I started feeling like I was being rejected, when I started feeling like nobody cared, but you got to be open and willing to take corrective criticism. If you're always wanting to shut down when somebody say to you, you know you shouldn't be there today, then you're never going to heal. If I can't say to you as my best friend, come on, we ain't doing this today. You was just here yesterday. We should be able to overcome small steps at a time. We should not still be in the same place 6 years later, especially if you're getting therapy, especially if you're getting help. You have to want to be helped. And I didn't want to be in that place because I wasn't going to be effective to a husband. I wasn't going to be effective to my children. I wasn't going to be effective to nobody around me because I always had that wall of defense. And nobody can never say nothing to me because you always think that I'm out to get you or hurt you. That is abandonment issues. And so now we know what to pray for. We know how to go to God. Not everything is I have an attitude, or not everything is I don't want you to say anything to me. These are hidden dark issues that we must deal with. In the church does not teach you how to deal with these issues. That's why we have this forum, or that's why we come together to talk about abandonment issues so that we won't be in the same place that we were last year. 2025 should not catch some of us in the same place. Some of us been in this same circle since 2022. And some of y'all I know personally, so I can say that. Some of us, we have to want to come out. We could teach till we blue in the face. We could get on the altar. We could cry. We could spit up. We could do all of this stuff. But unless we make up in here, it starts in our mind first. Then we're going to always go in the same circle. So I say to you tonight, while you're dealing with this abandonment issue, this childhood trauma, now that we have identified what it is, I believe some of you came on tonight because you had a clue or an inkling that I'm suffering from abandonment issues because it stemmed from me being in foster care, me being dropped, my mother leaving me, wanting nothing to do with me. Then we start asking these questions like, am I not good enough? What did I do to deserve this? Why did she keep my other brothers and sisters and left me? I said it jokingly to them in here. I think it was today. I was like, I wonder, was I really a foster kid? Even though I know my mother had me because I was in the hospital. But sometimes that's what it makes you feel like. Okay? It is draining. It is very much draining, especially when you come into the altar for the same thing every single Sunday. Now, it's nothing wrong with coming to the altar, but if you're going to come to the altar, leave it there. Don't take it back with you. Don't keep picking it back up. It's so draining. You're always depressed. You're always down. There's never a happy moment in your life. Everything is woe is me. At some point, we have to want to come up so that we can do better because most of us are parents. What are we teaching our children? Then it's that generational curse. Then it comes from us and it goes to our children. And then we wondering why our children acting crazy because they watching you. When are you going to change? When are you going to say, I want to come out of this dark place? When are you going to say, I don't want to be here no more? As a leader, what would you tell leaders on how to deal with members in their congregation? Well, as a leader, we often say it all the time. We have to first acknowledge again, overseer, that we have a problem. So from leader to leader, there's one-on-one group sessions. Let's see what we could do to talk about this. Let's see what we could do to handle this. And what I can't do, go out and get you some professional help. Go talk to you a therapist. Go talk to you a psychiatrist. Maybe they can get to you where I can't, because we can do it all we can. We can preach, we can prophesy, we can pray, we can cast out demons. But there's something that a therapist or therapy can do that we can never reach. Did I answer that right?
We need to also consider the fact of familiarity.
Mm-hmm.
God always gives pastors after his own heart, so therefore he gives them inside look on the congregation, because the Bible says, know them that labor among you. And so, as a leader, God shows us our membership that we are dealing with. And you have to go case by case. Some people would feel that in you trying to help them, that it's impossible because you already know them. And so they don't give you
That
the
opportunity.
opportunity or the respect, because they, when it's somebody else that you're saying it to, then that's my pastor, and he be on point, she be on point. But then when you say something to them, they be like, oh, well, they must be off. He's just saying that because he know me. um, I'm gonna need to talk to somebody outside, and there's nothing wrong with referring people to therapy. I believe Jesus and therapy is a wonderful
It
combination.
is.
But when you're talking to your congregation, you have to let them know that, hey, even though you may feel that I know you, and that I'm too close to the situation, because God has allowed me to be your pastor, He's given me
Mm-hmm.
an extra area of wisdom on how to deal with you. But you have to be truthful with me. A lot of people are not truthful with their leaders because sometimes they're embarrassed or ashamed to let their leader know that this is where I am, because everybody thinks I'm this person that always has the answers for everybody else. And so now the problem is I got a problem. And so now I'm going to go to the pastor when I'm supposed to
Mm-hmm.
be helping the pastor deal with everybody else. So from leader to leader, I would say uh, that you would extend your door, um, with a witness, but extend your
Mm-hmm.
door to the individual, helping them to understand that while you might be familiar with them, you are not so familiar with them that you can't be who God needs you to be to them in their lives. God gives us these people for a reason. So if they're in our congregation, that means that there is something in there that we have that we can offer to them.
Mm-hmm.
It's whether it's received. And again, receiving it is the issue because they're either too familiar, or if you're like me and you grew up in a family church, so it's kind of hard, helping your family understand that this ain't the family member right now.
Mm-hmm.
This the preacher in me, or this the prophet in me talking to you, and I need you to hear this office that's speaking to you. A lot of times, people get too familiar with us and they lose respect for who we are
Yes.
in the Lord's church. And so we have to remind them that even though you're looking at me as a natural man, there is a place in God that I am that you cannot reach because you're not the pastor.
Yes.
And that's why I'm here to help you get to that point, because you may eventually one day be in the same situation I'm in, where you need to minister to someone who can't get past
Absolutely.
the fact that they know you on a personal basis. And so, a lot of people say to my bestie, they still haven't said it to me, but they say it to my bestie like, Apostle don't really hang around much, or Apostle don't stay in the room that long. I don't, because I don't want to take chances of crossing any lines, because I want you to know when I'm saying something that I definitely heard from God. And I'm sick, and sometimes I'm talking purely out of wisdom, and I'll tell you, I ain't say God said this. This is something that I went through, and I'm here to tell you that if I'm here after that, so can you. So from leader um, to leader, and leader to congregation, it requires your congregation to be able to separate the familiarity of the relationship.
I often wonder or think, why do you have a leader if you're that common or that familiar and you can't hear their voice, or they can't tell you nothing, or they can't let you know, when you're in error or you're wrong? It's sad to me. Why be in a church where you can't glean nothing from?
And uh, that's a twofold question, because I mean statement. You know why? Situation, twofold situation, because some people stay where they are tolerated. Some people stay because they don't want to start over. Some people stay because they're gleaning, but they're looking for more than what they're opening themselves
Yes.
up to receive. It's like we already have limits on the leadership. Oh, that's just Nita. No, Nita happens to be a pastor in the Lord's church, an apostle in the Lord's church, which means that I have some communion with him and I have some relationship with him. And there are things that I went through that merited me to be where I am. And if you would just learn from it, all we want you to do is learn from what we've already been through, so you don't have to stay in that place long as we did.
Right.
Because we all have been guilty of bringing it to the altar, leaving it right there at the
And
altar. Then
picking
as
it
soon as
back
you get
up.
ready to turn
Yes.
around and walk back to your seat, you look back and grab it again and say, "Let me take it home with me." We'll try this again next week. And we have to get to a place where either we're going to believe God or we're not. Why pray to a God you don't believe in? You're right. You're right. And I say that all
And
the time.
that's so true. But it seems like, well, let me speak for us. Because we deal with it, we know how to tell others
But they don't see it
not
like
to
that.
be there. But they don't, they, for some apparent reason, a lot of people just don't like to listen, or they don't take heed, or they feel like, oh, you just coming from me. Like Evangelist Elder in Training is on here, Tanasia. She could tell you, I'm very hard on her, and I know it gets on her last nerves. But I'm hard because I know what she has inside of her. So if I don't stay on top of her, if I don't get on her, if we don't reprimand her or come for her, Prophetess Ayana too. So there's certain members you're more hard on than others because you see where they're going. But a lot of times, I think in that moment, because they deal with abandonment issues, they don't realize that that's what it is.
They're
They
used to being
feel,
dropped, and they're used to
yes,
being left behind because of they feel themselves
yeah,
or their inadequacies. And so sometimes we have to, it takes more time with some than others. And what people need to understand, and I use this analogy all the time, I don't care how sick you think you are, when you go to the emergency room, they're going to take you on the, the basis of whether it is truly an emergency, whether it's urgent, or whether it's something that, yes, you have an issue, but we don't need to tend to it right away. They're going to take whoever, I don't care if you came in there at 6 o'clock in the morning. If somebody come in and you still there at 10:30, 11 o'clock, and they're more severe than you, guess who's going to go first? That person who just came in at 11. That's just like the story in the Bible where the man worked all those people worked all that time, and then the man who came last got the same pay, and he said, "Wow, he still did the work." And so what we have to
what did Shanae say?
I'm going back up to her right now. For real, overseer with a witness, I learned early on, don't have no meetings with nobody and you have no witness, because these people are trifling and they try to come in there and sue and bring you up on stuff, and all it is your word against theirs. And so we never, very rarely, we could count on one hand that we counsel somebody, and it's just me and them in the room, unless they say I really can't handle anybody else being in the room, but we're still in close proximity. But because of laws, we make sure that there's a witness to everything that's going down, and we let you know, hey, so and so is going to be in the room. You have every opportunity before that time to say no, thank you, because we don't just spring it on you. Everybody knows that, and because we still have two different sides to how we feel about a thing. We don't always agree, but we've agreed to disagree. And whatever is going to make ministry move forward, that is where we go.
Not
And
even on the
and
phone.
so I would I always advise have somebody else in the room. Um, I'm coming to you, Shanae. We coming to you, Shanae. But I want to keep going back to leader to leader. What would you say to a leader in this congregation? And yes, many of us leaders, if we would just be truthful, we probably could do better with relating to our ministries, because we are up there and in their eyes, we got it all together. And they have no idea that once we finish and we go home, we just like them. We got stuff we waiting for God to do for us as well. And so because we made it look like it's just, you know, so easy to do this and not how we have to struggle to be held in the right place in God, it makes them feel like it's unattainable.
Mm-hmm.
And so ain't no sense in me telling them, because they ain't gonna understand. Because look at them, they got it all together. If only you knew.
If only you
If
know.
only you knew. And we said this in church the other day. I forgot who we were talking to. I think it was the Lawrences. And we were saying that, back in the day, we were doing an altar call at the church. Because back in our day, the leaders couldn't go to the altar because we had to work the altar.
Yes.
But we needed it too. But we weren't allowed that opportunity. We had to go to the people. And so now we're at a time where we say, take your title off if this is you, come on up here.
I
And we're
release
going to do this
everybody,
together.
armor bearers and all.
Yeah,
Y'all
like
off
we're going to do
today.
this together.
Y'all off today. Your body language off. Everything is off.
Like, what's
Get to the
wrong with
altar.
you? Get your life.
A lot of times I don't feel worthy of my title because I deal with depression and anxiety. I tell you, like Apostle used to always tell me, you make your title what it is. So because you suffer from depression and anxiety, that's more reason why you should press through with your title. It doesn't exempt us. You know, nobody would never know it unless I told them that I suffer with depression and anxiety. You would never know it because when I come to church on a Sunday, I give God my all. I don't have time to sit around and wallow and be depressed and be sad because that's my time to give God my all. I'm on medication too. But guess what? I'm not gonna let it make me. I make it. So that's what I'll say to you. You gotta learn how to fight through it. You can't wallow in it. You can't stay there. You confess it, and it's easy. It's more
It's easier
easier
said than
said
done.
than done. And it took me a minute to get there. But I will never ever let the enemy hold me bound to my depression and my anxiety.
You don't let the
I
title
just
work you. You
you
work the
work the
title.
yes. So having a title has nothing to do with where you are, and I want you to remember that and hear me from the heart. It has nothing to do with your depression, your anxiety, your abandonment issues, none of that. You should work it even harder now because you know you suffer from those things.
Many people don't understand all that I go through on a daily basis. If you could only see my day to day, you'd be like, how in the world? Because those around me are saying, where do you get your strength from? I was like, my mama was a fighter and she was the epitome of faith. And that was my role model, you know, to fight it more than folk know. You know, I just, don't allow what I'm going through or what the doctors are saying to control how I move. I go to the doctor so that they can tell me what they need to tell me so I can come to the doctor that I'm more familiar with, which is God Himself. And so I don't just die because they're giving me now. When they first said to me, just do something to me, yeah, but quickly I shake myself off because I know who and whose I am. So I don't allow it. People say, oh my God, the way you dance and the way you move and worship and how you praise God, you would never know. You won't. And I'm God's gonna. I just won't because I don't want pity because it's to God be the glory. Too familiar is right, overseer. Prophetess Lawn says, I know for me at one point, even though I knew things were toxic, I stayed because I was used to that way of living. Then, when I was finally loved right, it allowed me to see things differently, but also understood my parent better because I thought she didn't understand, but I now realize it's because she really did understand, and that is why the response she gave me was at the time was given. Thank you,
And
Ma.
that's what I.
Look at
Oh, would you
you.
talk about me or
No,
her?
no, no, no.
A lot of times we don't realize it at the moment, and a lot of people think
Yes, sir,
that
overseer.
me and Apostle have always been this buddy buddy or whatever. But she has to get on me. She has to. I'll never forget when she had to pull me in the office, and I thought I was gonna die when me and Overseer Armor was in that office, and she had to get on us. I was like, "You my bestie. You ain't supposed to." Excuse me, but I had to understand, and I had to realize, even now, certain things she say to me when I'm going through, or when me and my husband are having words, and she'd be like, well, you know that was wrong, you shouldn't have said it like that, and I'll be like, you my bestie, whose side you on? But sometimes it's for our good, and we don't see it at the moment, but I'm telling you, it's working together. And baby girl, Ish is paying off. I could see it. Sidebar, this don't have nothing to do with this, but I just thought about this when I saw your name. Isaiah called me last night and he was like, I'm just calling mom to tell you that I love you very much. He said, has helped me to realize that I should talk to my mother every day. I said, come on, Has, go get the rest of my sons. Because he said he ain't missed a beat calling her when he was up here. And he was like, that made me appreciate my mother more than a little bit. So see, you're doing an awesome job. You're raising men and women, and it's
Hallelujah. They
paying
come from good
off.
training. I did a good
I'm
job with the
telling
help of
you,
God.
he sure
With the
did.
help
He
of
called and
God.
told me that last night.
Mark
So he
Miller.
called me every other day to remind me that he loved me.
Oh, look at that. They need to see their peers doing the same thing. That's what I say. You'd be surprised at how you can touch.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. Let's read all of these messages. I never do that, even on the phone. For real, overseer. I'm telling you now, I learned that. Now, I ain't gonna give my little secret away, nope. But I found out that, in conversations that I was having with other people, I realized that I was being recorded. And thank God I'm the person who I am, because I'll never be afraid to say anything twice. And so I said, well, maybe I should start doing that, because some of the stuff these people be saying they ain't say. I just call them a liar, and the apostle be like, but oh my God, apostle, you called them a liar? Yes, I did, because they ain't telling the story. They're a liar. That's the truth ain't in them. Mm-mm. And I just believe that when you're gonna have a conversation, if that's what you're gonna do, you just make sure you come correct. But never go into counsel with somebody and not have someone in the vicinity, even if they're not in the same room.
Yeah.
We ain't going behind no closed door gonna be cracked, because I don't want nothing. So anything go down, somebody can hear and see. That's it right there. Um, if they only knew. I'm telling you, like back in our day, come on now, we just and that's why many of us are I don't want to call them defective, but dysfunctional, because we just we couldn't do nothing back then. We're not used to the ability to just come to God, even though we're leaders, and lift our hands and say, God, we need help. We didn't get to do that back then. Your job was to work with the people who came to the altar. What do you mean you need prayer too? You better get your tail behind these people and start working with them. You pick somebody, and that's who you're going to be working with for the night while they're at the altar. And it's difficult, even now with the freedoms that we have, as we watch different leaders who we know want to come up. You see them, you feel them in the spirit, but they don't want people. They're worrying about how people are going to look at them for having to. I don't care, because I'm at a place where I need every bit of God that I can. I need every bit.
Every bit of
and
it.
I don't have time for, I wonder if they're going to think. I do not care. I really don't, because I mean God all the way. I refuse to go to hell from the church. They hear me say that all the time and they laugh, but I mean that thing. I am not doing all of this to go to hell. So I don't have a problem with going up to the altar. Sometimes I go to the altar first so that they know that you can feel free to come here and lay your problems at the altar. I just pray that you don't pick it back up. And it's hard leaving it there. We've been there and done that. It is. Hey, daughter. My other daughter on here too. Um, sometimes it's hard. We say we're bringing it to God. We don't even realize we've done it so often that we pick it right back up and say, come on, it's time for us to go back to our seat. So you're getting dressed with it in the morning, you're taking it off at night, giving it rest, just so you can pick it back up tomorrow.
Yeah.
Be free. That's what I say. Be free. Me to fight it more than folk. No, yes. They really think that we're not going through this stuff. This the one right here, because when you see his feet moving, when you see the good overseer's feet moving, bless my whole life. Okay. Oh, that's because I'm moving on. Why is it not moving? Being a PK, it was very hard. Let me start over. Being a PK, it was very hard to be in the same church as my mom, because it's hard to turn off this is mommy, but this is also my pastor, apostle, and covering.
Yes.
It's a real thing. Being a PK, it's a real thing, and unfortunately, uh, the saints would never let the PK kids be just that, kids. They held them up on this pedestal, and they were supposed to do no wrong because they are the PKs. But those are the children that watch you put their parents through hell. These are the same children who watch their parents be mishandled. These are the same children that watch their parents and hear their parents being disrespected, and now they're of age and they're looking at you and wondering why you still expect them to give you some honor when they see everything you did to their parent. And so it takes tremendous growth to be able to do that. Many things that I called myself sheltering my children from, I found out that they knew about, and they just did not. They would always say to me, Mom, why do you put up with it? Mom, why did you do it? Because at the end, it's about me and God. He's going to make sure that whoever did what they're doing get what's coming. Might not come when I want it to happen, but he's going to take care of me. That was his promise to me.
Yes.
And so I have to give him back his word. So it's not an easy place to be. It's not an easy place to be. But we're going to give it back to the apostle so she can finish talking to you. Stay at the altar. That's right. Stay at the altar. I'm telling you, overseer, they don't know about this PK stuff. And so back to where we are, all of this still had to do with abandonment, because abandonment opens up doors to other emotions.
I am so forever grateful.
We ain't had Christmas and school clothes either.
To be able to talk about these emotions, because a lot of us deal with them on a day-to-day basis and we don't know who to talk to. We don't know how to say we have these issues. We don't know how to even seek therapy. But I encourage all of you on here to go and get some type of therapy to deal with those deep, dark secrets. Maybe it's some things you don't want to tell your leader or your pastor.
It's called shame.
Yes, Tika, I was just talking about you and telling the people, I know you probably didn't have signal, how hard we are on you because of who you are, and how hard we are on the PK kids as well. My kids is PK kids too, and they be like, Mom, why we gotta do it? Because you the pastor's kid,
That part.
and they gonna look at you. But I had to realize that I had to separate it as they got older. When people start calling me about certain things, I'd be like, they grown. Go to them. Don't call my phone. Yes, I'm their pastor, and yes, I'm their covering, but most of my children are grown. So sometimes we are more harder on some than others. And I was telling them, elder in training, that we are very hard on you, but it's because we know who you are and whose you are. And so we're going to continue to be hard even when we get on your nerves. But abandonment was a very, very good. Uh, as I studied, I found out why I was suffering from a lot of the things that I was suffering with, even daddy issues. I never knew who my father was until this day. I still got the DNA test upstairs. I'm gonna take it because I want to know who he is. But even when we don't have a father, it causes us as little girls to have these abandonment issues and suffer with going from man to man. Thank God I never had that issue. And looking for love in all the wrong places. It's all a part of abandonment issues, or wanting to feel love, or wanting to be in a man's arms, or wanting to sex and all of this stuff. It's all because we feel empty inside and we are dealing with abandonment issues. But as we go to therapy, Jesus in therapy. That's my shirt. God will help us.
It's a powerful ingredient.
Fill the void. And that's why some of us still are not in relationships, because we're abandoned. We have issues. We have traumas. We have pain and hurts that we must deal with, because we don't want to put that on nobody else. It's not fair to them. So that is really all that I had.
I felt abandoned by my father when he died.
Wow. Death can make you feel abandoned.
I felt abandoned by my father when he died, and I did not acknowledge that or even have that come up. Like, it surprised me when I used that sentence while I was in therapy, and then I just broke out in tears. Like, I didn't even know that was in there, but I felt abandoned because my father is who I had the relationship with. Even though he wasn't in a home, there wasn't a day that went by that we didn't communicate. We knew we was going out every Wednesday. I could always count on a new pair of sneakers. He used to take me down to the Penny Arcade downtown Newark and had me singing in there, and his little friends would be giving me money and stuff like that. And he lived right around the corner from the church. So every Sunday after Sunday school, me and my so-called, so I thought they were friends, but they were going along for the ride, would go around the corner, and my father would buy everybody. That was when candy was really penny candy. Mm-hmm. And he would buy us the penny candy only for the ushers to take it when we came back to church. But I really felt abandoned when he died, because I felt like he left me. Like, he knew that I relied on him. He knew I counted on him. He knew that I was expecting him, and how could he die like that, on me? And so I really did not come to grips with that until later in my life. I just didn't realize that that's the word that I would associate with that.
So death can make you feel
abandoned, because that's somebody you
depended on
is
left
gone.
You.
They left, no warning, just gone. And so now who's going to be there? So you feel dropped. You feel left, because obviously you're feeling that way because nobody else gave you that much attention like that person did. Nobody made you feel like your words mattered. Sometimes people have conversation with you. They looking at you, but they ain't hearing nothing you saying. They ain't hearing nothing you saying.
That's so true. I didn't think about that, but that's true. Somebody that you really, really was close to, or that you loved, left you. So I want to encourage my single ladies that's on here and that's dealing with abandonment issues. Wait on God, because if you're not healed from those issues, you can damage somebody else getting into a relationship. And for God's sakes, you shouldn't be looking anyway. It says, he that finds a wife finds a
Get
good
off the
thing
dating
and obtain
sites.
favor from God. So if you're looking, then he's not finding you because you're looking for him. And that's why you're still in the waiting process. Heal. Yes, Jesus and therapy works. Heal. It is very vital that we heal before we can move on in any aspect of our lives, but we got to want to heal. We can't keep on with the woe is me and
Right. I
wallowing.
can't stand pity. It's just, that's why sometimes
Not the
I don't.
ushers mean.
Sometimes, because they would take our candy. They just walk up to your
Spit your
row.
gum
They
out
say
your
that
mouth.
ain't got a piece of tissue. Yeah, give you the piece of tissue for you to spit the gum in, and you trying to act like you don't see them. Man, let me tell you something. But the if you want to get help, then put yourself in a position to receive it. I don't do pity. I don't do well with pity. I don't do well with every time I tell you the sun is out, you tell me the moon is there. Every time I tell you, look at the brightness of the sun, you say, I just see the dullness of the sky. Like for every good I got, you got something bad. There's nothing positive in your mindset that comes out when people are talking to you. It's draining. It's draining, and it is absorbing an energy that should be given with somebody who's really trying to be healed. And what do I mean when I say that? I always tell people your mind and your heart must come together with one accord. God's not coming in the midst of chaos with you going to war with yourself. Either you want it or you don't. And we can't spend every praying moment on just you and just like you just gonna die. No,
Mm-hmm.
you gotta have some kind of fight. What would have happened if Jesus didn't have any kind of fight left in him with all that he endured? His pain should never be compared to ours. And yet he kept on and didn't
Mm-hmm.
say anything. And so you have to, even with these feelings, even acknowledging that this is how I feel, you have to be open to what the healing process is. And it's going to require you to be vulnerable. Um, and
A
what,
lot of people don't like that word,
yeah, vulnerable.
becoming vulnerable. Somebody said to me recently, I don't like to become vulnerable because then that means I'm giving you all of me. But it's unfair for somebody to be in a relationship with you and you're not be vulnerable with them. It's not fair to that person. If you're vulnerable, then that means if we're in a relationship and you're not vulnerable to me, that means you don't trust me.
And unfortunately, to others, it means that they're weak. They
Yeah,
feel like saying that they're
especially to
vulnerable,
male
that
figures,
they're weak,
actors.
and it's just not that. I believe that we all, again, have these issues, these emotional traumas that we've experienced in life, and here we are as adults getting ready to go into decades old, and we're having to deal with stuff that we had all the way since we were 9 and 10 years old because we didn't have the freedom to talk about it, and we didn't know who we could say it about, because in this day and time, unfortunately, you do have to be careful who you speak to because people are looking to expose you and hold it over your head. But that's a chance we take every week. But nobody could beat me telling my story but me, and so just going to seek help. At first, I was like, I'm not going there because I'm not crazy. If I got to say it, more crazy people go. And what I found out is no, you go to them so you don't go crazy. Somebody that can listen to you and make sense about what you're saying and allow you to be vulnerable. The best thing my therapist could have said the other day is, if you feel like this, if this is what you feel right now, I'm not here to tell you that's not good, don't feel that. I'm not going to tell you, if you feel like that's your safe space, I'm not going to say, no, don't go to that safe space. I think you should go over here. Our job is to make you be able to what you call it, maximize whatever is going on in your life and to be there for you. And so we are put in a very tedious situation as leaders when we're talking to folk, because then sometimes because you're counseling them, then
Mm-hmm.
if you prophesy to them, they saying you ain't, God ain't give it to you. Just like God would just never give you a word to confirm that which He's already spoken. People think that if I'm already talked to Bishop Rollinson, if you're saying something that's taught, somebody must have told them. Now they preaching about me today. Like, no,
Hey, Pastor
There's no
Dunkins.
reason why God can't speak to us, even though we've been counseling you. You might want God to be speaking to us. You you might just want it.
What? What she said?
Then they said,
Did you read it?
I felt abandoned by my mother after her death. Even now, what preciously just found out is hitting really hard, and I have to say, is why. Um,
Well, we don't know what that is because we haven't talked to you about it. But if it's making you feel that way, then maybe you should be talking to Apostle about it so she could try to help you get through it. That part about your mom, I understand 100% because I felt the same way about mine. Blessings, Pastor Dunkins. We love you.
we do,
I
we do,
feel
we
the
do.
same way. But being abandoned, being dropped, being left for dead, feeling lonely, all of those issues are real. And we don't want you to feel that we're making light of what you feel to everybody that's on this live because all
No,
of
no,
us
no,
are here
no.
because we have faced it one time or another. But you got to brush yourself off,
Get
dust
up.
yourself off. You
Yeah.
got to get up and you got to move.
Keep it
A lot of
moving.
our sicknesses that we have and that we're facing
It's
is
internalizing.
internalizing because of being abandoned or because of rejection or because of having these issues or because we've been left out or because we've been divorced and we have internalized these things. When I got divorced, I felt the worst because I was like, why am I here? What could I have done to stop this from happening? Why was I such a bad person? And then we start blaming ourselves for everything that we're facing when it's nothing that we done. It was because we felt abandoned at that moment.
So it's a real place. Like I said, when my dad died, I definitely felt like he abandoned me. When my mother, well, mommy's been gone now about 3 years, and um, it's still like why, you know, why? Just like why now? When we finally get our relationship, where we wanted it to be, why now? And then I had to consider the fact that maybe that's what God wanted to happen, me to have that opportunity to get
Mm-hmm.
things right and be on a good path for her so that, at her time of passing, we could do what we had to do when we had to preach that eulogy. And so, um, you know, abandonment happens in relationships when we invest in a relationship, and most women go hard. We don't know how to do like you men. Women by the second week they're already trying to marry you. Men, it's just facts. And and
Not
and
by the
men
second week,
6 months down the line they still trying to decide if they're gonna be your friend. We just on two
like,
different
whoa,
clocks when
slow
it
up,
comes to
you're
that.
going too
And so
fast.
now you're with somebody for 3 years, which I'm not sure, what happens when we're not married by the third year, but
We talked about
um,
that yesterday
that
too.
part.
You dating
Uh,
me for 10 years and you
so
ain't
you
proposed to me yet.
you invest 3 years with somebody, and only for them to say, you know what, I think we probably do better apart. You don't feel good. You feel abandoned because you invested time, energy, resources, family
Mm-hmm.
members, all these meet and greets and showing up at family functions and job functions together. And now when I look around and they say, "Where's your?" and then you feel like you just was left,
Mm-hmm.
with no answer. And so abandon happens in different areas of our life, not just one part of our life. It's just where you find that attachment of abandonment, that thing that left you, that thing that dropped you, that thing that made you feel like you were wasted, thrown to the wayside. And so it's different to everybody. That's why God made us unique. And so we still have that same common denominator, though, how it made us feel,
Yes.
you know. Um, I'm loving all these leaders, guys. Thank you so much. I remember them days. I was enjoying my blue peppermint, swirl cream candy, and
Blue
strawberry
peppermint.
candy, and then the ushers always had a napkin in their hand. I'm telling you, they don't. Them ushers today don't do that.
Wait, but a blue peppermint? I've never seen a
Yeah,
blue
the
peppermint.
multicolored peppermint candies.
I ain't never seen a blue one.
Yellow, yes.
Oh,
But yeah, they don't even say nothing. They just walk up, and you better have put it in that napkin. She better not have had to come down that aisle. Man, and then you look up and your mother in the choir stand looking at you like,
blue peppermint ball, Tika. I ain't never seen a blue peppermint
you
ball, but okay.
really?
I ain't never
I
seen
feel
the
so
yellow one
bad for
either.
you.
Oh, me too.
They, They still sell multicolored
I'm
peppermints
going
in
to
the
look for it.
store. They just don't taste like peppermint. They are flavored.
Blue?
Blue,
I'm
red,
stuck on this
yellow,
blue. Now I
orange.
seen red.
They
I've
know
seen orange.
they're
I
all in the
even
same
seen
package.
green.
Can y'all
I ain't
let her
never
know
seen the
that this is a
blue.
real thing?
Who else on here seen the blue
I know
peppermint?
you did.
Overseer DeBose, you still here? You see the blue peppermint?
They come in a little round package. Yes, it's a sweet Tori. See?
Okay. All right. Y'all bring me one to church Sunday. I want to see what it looks like. Now I've seen a blue candy cane. They make
Oh
them for
my
Christmas.
God, that's still a peppermint.
It's a candy cane.
It's a peppermint though.
Okay.
It's a blue peppermint candy cane.
Okay.
See, people know about it.
Praise
They
the
know
Lord,
about
saints of God.
it. So
Hey, I see you Sunday. I feel the word turning. As soon as I saw that name, praise the Lord.
So, this has been wonderful. Thank you to the leaders, those of you who came on and offered some conversation to this. It is always good for our audience to know that even though we're in leadership, we still hurt too. We still bleed too. We still have emotional baggage from our childhood, that we had to get through in order to be effective with you. We could not be effective with you had we not deal with our own stuff. And so we want to encourage you to continue to have the conversation, to continue to give yourself what you deserve, which is freedom of the mind, heart, and soul. Give yourself an opportunity not to be ashamed of what you went through, but to be grateful that God counted you. Because there's nothing that you go through that he didn't already know about. So it meant that he already had confidence that you were going to come through this thing, because we're here today. Most of us say we feel weak and we feel, like we don't have the strength, but you're alive today, which is more than yesterday, which means that what you thought was just going to kill you didn't do it, because you're here talking about it. To be able to voice it, let you know that you're stronger than you think. You're still here. No matter what you contemplated doing to yourself, no matter what, even if you tried to do it to yourself, like me, and you didn't, and was mad at God because you woke up. There are just things that we've gone through that you just would not believe. But for some reason, people think that leadership just doesn't have the issues that the average person does. And I want you to know that we have it 10 times over. We just have an added responsibility of getting to the other side, so that when we minister to you, we can be effective. Because if you say, well, has that ever happened to you? We want to be able to say yes. Because for me, if I have to say no, I already got somebody ready for you to go to next, because I know somebody who's been there. I've been around a lot of years. I've come through a lot of things and walked some people through a lot of things before people started saying that you don't know nothing if you ain't been through it. We've always had the word, and the word has always been the doorstep and the pathway to anything that you need done. So whether I went through it or not, if I can give you the word and show you the instances in the Bible when it happened, then that's still proof that God does what he says he's going to do. So we thank you guys, especially the leaders who came in. Thank you for staying on as long as you did. Overseer DeBose, he usually be like a hit and miss. He come in here, say something, he going. But thank you so much. Abandonment was the word of the evening. And as you can see, as we highlighted some of the comments, feel free to go back and review this live. I'm sure it will bless you to understand what abandonment is, to see that you're not the only one feeling like it, to give you an opportunity to give God a chance, to heal you. But in order for you to give God that chance, we love you too, Ma. In order for you to give God that chance, you have to be willing to deal with the answer. You must be willing to deal with the answer. And so our prayer for you is that as you're learning to love the me that you see, you don't have to be ashamed of what you've gone through. You don't have to be ashamed of things that were done to you. It happened for a reason. As painful and as crazy as it was, it happened to you for a reason that has nothing to do with you and everything to do with the people that you're going to come in contact with. So continue to go on. Don't be weary. Don't give up. Don't quit. Don't die here. All of those sayings. Don't do none of that. Keep going, because there's a greater good on the other side of this. And it won't last like this always. So my bestie's going to have her last words of encouragement. She's going to pray us out. And we'll see you next week as we talk about another one of the 7 emotions.
Thank you all for listening. Thank you for staying to the end. Thank you for coming on. Y'all be encouraged tonight. Remember, depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, all of those issues that we deal with, it doesn't define who you are. It's going to make you better in the end. I want you to be encouraged. I want you to continue to push and pray. And remember, Jesus in therapy is going to help you get through this next season in your life. I have a t-shirt out there somewhere that says Jesus plus therapy equals healing. Jesus plus therapy equals healing. It's on my page somewhere. Make some lemonades out of it. I know that's right. I don't like lemonade from lemon, but for those of you that do, make some lemonade out of it. I love you all. Pray for us. Continue to cover us as we get these emotions together, because trust me, before we deal with it, we go through it. And sometimes after we deal with it, it's worse. So continue to pray for us. Continue to remember Apostle as she prepare these every Wednesday, as she prepare to come on and have her mind ready to give you what God has given her. So we love you tonight. Be encouraged. Remember, you may be facing abandonment issues, but it's nothing too hard for God to do. Father, in Jesus' name, we thank you and we love you. We praise you this night and we give you glory. We honor you and we thank you, because this is the day that you have made. We shall rejoice and be glad in it. Now, God, we ask you as we leave, God, on tonight, that you will cover us under your blood. Those that are dealing with abandonment issues, those that are dealing with these emotions that we talk about, Father, help us to realize, God, that we can do anything through you, God, for you are our source. You are our reason why we live and breathe. So, God, we ask you to give us strength and take us through, is my prayer. We thank you and we give you glory in Jesus' name. Amen.
We love you.
Have a good
Have
night,
a great
everybody.
remaining week.